right. Exciting times. Ooh. Yes, I'm on a ball. That's why I'm bouncing. 3 top reasons you're not getting better quicker. Why you're not feeling better quicker. Why you're not, why that ache and nagging pain keeps on nagging. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, welcome YouTube Live, also on Zoom. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, Lance. Shoot, you're on mute. Let's see. I'm going to unmute yourself to say hi because you have the most beautiful background right now. Hold on, you're still on mute. Just a second, just a second. I'm going to unmute you this end. Okay, now talk. Shoot, hold on. Speaker on. You're unmuted. I need to be unmuted. Just a second. Just a second. Select a speaker. Built-in audio. Yep, that's what I want. Unmute me. Oh, I know you can hear me, but why can't I hear you? I don't even know. Oh, that's a virtual background. Now I'm just realizing. Okay, yay for the... Oh, maybe I don't have volume. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Ooh, now try.
Is that better?
Yes, it was me.
Oh,
it was totally me. My volume, my computer was on mute. Okay, where's the picture of?
That is Walden.
Oh, look at that. Who got lots of rain? You guys got that last night? Walden.
Walden is North Park.
Okay.
So in Colorado, we have South Park and then we have North Park. North Park is like Walden. It's kind of east. Or no, it'd be west of Poudre Canyon.
Okay, got it.
You go all the way up over the top of Poudre Canyon, drop down the backside, you drop into Walden.
Nice. Very nice. Looks gorgeous. And South Park, like from which the...
South Park would be like Fairplay.
Okay, and that's where the show was named off of, right? Technically?
Yes.
No, well, no, actually, because the creators of South Park went to my son's high school, Heritage High School, or one of them did, or something like that. And yeah, and there's a little community called South Park here in Littleton. So in the show, it kind of seems like it's way off in South Park, but
yeah, the show actually did a one of their episodes was on the actual South Park in Colorado.
Yeah. The Colorado connection to that show is very entertaining. And now that my kids are kind of age to be watching it, it's interesting.
I've only seen 1 or 2 episodes, so.
Yeah. Well, I would not say you gotta go out there and watch it because it's not for everybody. Controversial for sure, but love seeing you here. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, my first time here.
Love it. I love it. We have people that'll jump on random times. So I have my notes on what we're covering today. Did it seem relevant to you or anyone you know?
Me personally, sure.
Super. That's why most people do it. Yeah, I have got a couple examples in my head on what I'm gonna go over, but do you want a specific?
I have plantar fasciitis in my heel, and so my foot is, as of last week, it's completely numb.
Well, numb is maybe on the better side. My husband actually also has that.
Does he?
So we've been in the thick of that because and that's one of the points I'll make is on the itis ones. Yeah. Tips on something like that. So yeah, numb versus his is like shooting pain in the heel randomly. So
yeah. Well, Kat forces me to do the frozen water bottle thing every night.
Okay.
She gets tired of hearing me complain about it, so she just tells me to go roll it.
Yeah, go away. Stop complaining.
Away.
Yeah, that's a solution. So yeah, I'll share on that, on the solutions that have been working. And I have a colleague who, she has a clinic in Golden. She's amazing with feet. She is the foot guru. She's the one to go to. And so that's where I sent my husband, because, you know, spousal advice goes this far. So, let's see. And I can, Gate Happens is her trigger thing. So, or her Instagram handle. And I'm just going to type it in here. So Gate Happens, because she posts great stuff all the time. Feet stuff. Oh, that's beautiful spelling. I should not spell on camera. So we can have that later if you need it. If you don't somehow get it, just ping me and I'll send it to you, because she's brilliant. That's where I get all my knowledge. She's my go-to. Anywho, so looks like so far Memorial Day weekend might be a little less or not less. So we'll see who's gonna pop in whenever. I have my East Coasters that randomly jump in as well.
How many do you normally have on a week?
It's like 3 to 10 to,
wow.
You know, so it's enough. And I have a lot of people that email me. They're like, I wish I could make it, but, you know, and construction folks usually, and they're like, I can't make, you know, the lunchtime. I'm like, well, when can you make? And they're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, if you give me a substitute, I'm happy to throw it in there, but.
Yeah, we construction guys are a little fickle about that sometimes.
You know, kind of. You just, I realize it's hard to make it work. So, not a big deal. But since so far I see just the 3 of us, which is great. Now, this is not Jeff. This is wife of Jeff Walker. Is that correct? You can, if you don't mind, you can unmute yourself. I don't know your name, and you can type it in the chat. But I know it's knees. We're going to have a knee discussion on that one. But pop in at any time. But I'll get into it, because I'm also recording. It's also on YouTube Live. So this will be there. If you find any gems that you want to share to other people, then find the recording over on YouTube. All these little things and tips and tricks and virtual stuff that I'm getting much better at since I've been here. But my top three reasons you're not getting better quicker is, 1, you're aggravating the inflammation, that there's inflammation there, that it probably is some sort of an itis, right? So, because that's what itis means. It means that there's an inflammation, and that you just keep aggravating it rather than letting it heal. Not seeing it from a big perspective. So maybe only seeing where that pain point is, and not really taking a 30,000 foot perspective and trying to figure out where you think it is. It isn't. One of my favorite quotes from Ida Rolf. She's a Rolfing. She's the person who started Rolfing, deep 10 series massage thing. But very brilliant person who realized long ago that where the pain point is isn't always where the source is. And I would probably bet for knees and feet, that's the case. And using the wrong modality, which is, you know, heat versus ice, or stretching or strengthening, or the wrong location. Oh, got one more jumping in. So there's wrong location or modality, you're aggravating the inflammation, or you're not seeing it from a global perspective. So those are the 3 that I'm going to hit on, because they usually help go through everything. So thank you, Jeff, for chiming in that you don't have a microphone. No worries. Make sure you type in if you have any questions on what we're going to cover. We already have requests for knees, for feet, for plantar fasciitis. I've got shoulders on my list from examples that I've worked with, and we'll run through those. So here's the thing. And Lance, since you jumped in and you're willing to share what you have going on with plantar fasciitis, have you gone to someone to see, and they've said plantar fasciitis, the words?
I had the same problem probably about 8 years ago, and it was definitely plantar fasciitis. I got rid of it at that point, and now it's coming back again.
Same foot?
Same foot.
Same foot. What got rid of it the first time?
I actually went to Jack's and bought some really good insoles that are kind of expensive, but it was a cheap fix.
Yeah.
It's much better than any type of surgery.
True, very true. And I love that you noticed that it is kind of a cheap fix. So that's something to where it is a global. I want you to think more globally. And I would say the things that are great for relieving pain initially, rock tape's awesome for it, for a lot of ways. We do that for my husband. He plays a lot of handball because I don't know if any of you who are not here are here. My husband also has plantar fasciitis, but handball he plays and he lifts weights a lot. He's able to do all of it. It's usually like after an hour and a half of playing handball and he sits for a period of time and then it aggravates. You're nodding your head. Is that familiar?
Yep, very much so.
Yeah. So that just signifies that it's an itis and it's swelling and it's inflammation. So I would challenge the frozen water bottle rolling because of ice constricts and numbs. So if numbness is your thing, it's not always gonna go hand in hand. Now you can still totally do it, go back to it, whatever. I would encourage you to maybe try a heating pad. I think they make, I love those vibration rollers. There is another brand besides Trigger Point that makes a heated roller. So that's an option. But so those are just little quickies for the pain or numbness. Tape can help with numbness too, because it is heightening the sensations of things. But with feet, it's something that I like people to also think up the chain from their feet. So most of the time it's hips, especially for those in work boots most of the day. Your feet aren't as mobile and active as we want them to be. And like you said, the insoles will then help that and have them not move as much, so then they're not sore later. But if your hips aren't stable enough and doing their job for balance and stability and strength, the least common denominator is the feet connecting to the floor. So all the work ends up happening at the foot level for your balance. If you're walking on uneven surfaces, the feet are doing all those adjustments. Does that kind of make sense? So maybe to think about what you can do for the hips. A lot of times I tell people, do you ever, move side to side laterally? Not often, right? So the hips are a three-dimensional joint. So to have them work in all three dimensions keeps them more functional. So my favorite trick is a bathroom rug, and you can start narrow and then work your way wider. Pretend it's hot lava and go from side to side and kind of jumping, and not necessarily jumping, but even stepping, and then creating a balanced landing. And then the other side with focus on the hips. I've got a ton of stuff for hip strength and stability and whatever, but if the hips are stronger and more stable, they tend to help the feet out when it comes to those things. So that would
Makes
be,
sense.
that would be my big thing with feet. Courtney Connolly is her name, who at Gait Happens, her link is in the chat room for any of you who are curious. She is the foot person, but she saw my husband and gave him foot exercises. So one of the things is having really functional feet and mobility in your toes. So he's got little wedge exercises to know that your feet can work in all those different positions, is then how you get more functional of it. My other little reason that we're staying into, if you keep aggravating the inflammation, then it's not going to have time to heal. So it's been interesting for my husband who normally plays handball, and then the rec center's been closed for so long, right? So he hasn't been playing handball. There's still little flare-ups, but it's not as much. So we're kind of hoping that the rest is going to be helpful to decrease that inflammation. But that's where the tape comes in for inflammation all the time, because the feet sometimes you can't avoid walking on. You need to walk, you need to get around. So resting that the feet to help it heal and not be inflamed is like a catch-22. So kind of in conclusion, I would say, Lance, try working with your hips. And sometimes if your foot's too sore or numb or whatever it is that the whole hot lava thing doesn't work, you can kind of hijack the system by kneeling on your knees and kind of working with balance from your knees, that so it'll still work to the hips and doing your balance things on all fours. I mean, you'll feel totally funny doing them, but like old school Jane Fonda lift the leg stuff is really good for your hips. So it's a place to start. And I'm happy to go down that rabbit hole with you if you need more stuff, but try some heat, see, and let me know how it goes.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Super. So then jumping on to knee for Jeff's wife. Knees are something to where knee pain is a lot of the times, most often an ankle. That's where you're, thinking globally is going to help on that one. Ankle and hip, same thing. Hips need to be stable. They need to be mobile. They need to have 3-dimensional movement. And if they're not getting that, then the knee ends up doing work that it shouldn't really be doing. And then vice versa. If the ankle's not very mobile, if it doesn't have enough dorsiflexion, which is essentially a good calf stretch, right? So if you put your foot back behind you and really stretch those calves out, stretching the calves with a straight knee and a bent knee is really important, because there's actually 2 layers of big calf muscles that the one behind the knee gets stretched when your knee is bent. The one that, doesn't cross the knee gets stretched. That's the one that doesn't cross the knee is the soleus, and the one that crosses the knee is the gastroc. She injured one, over time compensated and injured the other. Yeah, so also common, you got to pay attention to both sides. So maybe same thing with feet, is that foot overworking or the knee overworking on one side because there's a weakness on the other side. Also look right to left. Sometimes the solution is on the other side. So, and hip stuff, it could be right to left or front to back, which is its own little puzzle, which I love to figure out, but I just want to touch on those. I can go down rabbit holes forever on those things, but knees, you definitely want to think globally, and ankle or hip or core strength. The knee will overwork, or sometimes the knee doesn't have enough range of motion. I know I say a lot that the knee is a hinge joint, just like a door, and it's not supposed to rotate, but it actually does have a little bit of rotation. And let's see if I can show you. I'm going to show you the bottom of my foot right now, so don't freak out. But so if I'm holding behind the knee, let's see if I can do this, and I can rotate my foot out, and this is where I suck at. Oh, that's better today. I've been working on that. Rotation, it's actually called tibial rotation. Okay, so your tibia can rotate a little bit at the knee. Joe Lavaca has a bunch of cool stuff on that one. What's his YouTube channel? He is Strength in Motion, I think. That's another one that I can put in there. So for knee knowledge, knowing that getting all that functional mobility is really important for knee things, because if the knee's working the way it shouldn't, then it's going to get inflamed, then it's going to be painful. Going downstairs, walking downhill is a very common complaint. That one, if that's the case on where the pain is, it's usually because the calves are tight. When you're walking downhill, you get more calf stretch. So yeah, downhill is the worst. Super common. And if you think about it, as you're walking down or lowering down walking downstairs, next time you go down the stairs, pay attention to the leg that's lowering you down. There's a huge range of motion that needs to happen in that ankle. Otherwise, you end up putting weird torque here on your toe, and then you kind of land hard on the other side. Everybody gets to be more aware next time they go down the stairs, and pay attention to the foot that's lowering you down. So range of motion in the calf, but functional. So it's not just stretching it, it's also being strong in all that new range of motion. So that falls into my number 3, the wrong location or modality. Modality meaning you shouldn't always just stretch the heck out of something. This is me. Also, I'm a gymnast, so I like to be flexible, and sometimes I'm like, well, it just needs stretching. It's bothersome. For my hip, what was really best for it, and as I come along and learn my little rotations and stuff, I need to be stronger in that side. It's not my strong side. So strength for me in my hip works really well. Funny as it is, my dad and his shoulder stuff, he loves to roll the heck out of it and stretch the heck out of it. But it's more about getting stronger and more stable in the joint. Okay, so that was one of the other ones that I was gonna go over, and also thinking globally. So my dad being my dad, he always gets, I always use him, and he doesn't have to sign a waiver. But one of the things that keeps aggravating him, he focuses on, it's this one muscle, that's where it hurts, that's the problem, that's what it's going to do. But I had to remind him that when you're on your computer and that bowling ball of a head is forward, and he's got a big head, so it's probably bigger than average, the neck muscles are trying to compensate, and then it's going all the way down to the shoulder. So he's got to pay attention to his posture, his repetitive motions, right? So this is the thing with lots of trade workers, tool hands. When you're working with tools so much, that repetitive motion and how you're doing it, whether your joint is going to be torqued at all while you're using it, is going to have a huge effect on things versus steady posture. So that's one to really back up globally on. I know a lot of elbows that I worked on that are usually repetitive motion. And then elbows are super easy to get into the whole inflammation and itis, right? You'll hear elbow epicondylitis, golfer's elbow, tennis elbow are really the itis. They're aggravated. Those are definitely ones that need some rest, if possible, right? So I know a lot of my construction folks, it's super common. Their elbows hurt, but they still need to work. So it's a matter of really staying on top of whatever makes it feel good. Okay, so some massage, some circulation, the tape helps for that, and resting as much as you can when you're not working. So my biggest problem ones in construction are the ones that have like mechanic hobbies. Over the weekend or when they're not working, they're wanting to still do stuff, or you're helping somebody move, or all of a sudden you're still working it. It'll need rest eventually. So the stuff that's lasted months, over 6 months, it's going to need some rest, or your body's going to get to the point where it's going to make you rest. And that's where strains come in, really big injuries. And your body just has a way of, if you're not listening to it on this little low volume, it's going to turn up the volume. The body's really good at doing stuff like that. So very good. I love that you're all here to learn about this stuff, because it's worth spreading the information that you want to do something when it's smaller. But a lot of the times, I think for the go-getters and stuff, it's something to where it's hard to rest and let it heal. Okay, if it's in your feet and your feet pain, but you still have to walk around, it's really hard to rest that and let it heal. But know that there's always the 2 steps forward, 1 step back, still gets you in the right direction. So it's still something to do. Sometimes it's just slower. And for a lot of us, the patience to deal with the healing process is the hardest part, right? Sucks to be in pain. Absolutely sucks. It's not fun on anyone, but that's where hopefully I like to help out in lots of ways. Stuff I'm always happy to do workstation assessments or posture assessments for anybody. A lot of times just seeing the visual of how you stand from front to profile is really enlightening because, oh, I didn't realize that my head's a little tilted when I stand normal and I think this is straight, right? Hey, maybe that's why my neck, my shoulder, something else is bothering me. So knowing those visuals for all my my trade skill people and my blue collar workers, it's a lot of times just getting video of their actual work, or one of my guys who is back went out telling me how he was pushing a cart with lots of iron on it and I couldn't quite figure it out until he saw me a picture. And I was like, oh, now I see what's going on. So putting another brain on it is often a simple, easy process and a way to do things to where if anyone ever wants to send me photos, videos, knowing that I'm totally going to make them on my social media channel to educate others. But they're a world of information. A posture check for someone who's a little bit tilted or maybe has a little lean sideways, or my favorite is the sideways ones where you're a little forward the whole thing. And then, so if your whole body is leaned a little bit forward, then your weight's on your toes all the time. And it's most of the time people who are always tight in their calves. So like for Jeff and your wife is what I would say, that would probably be really telling, is to just see a posture screen that, are you straight up and down this way and this way? Or is there any little tilts going on? It might be as easy as that. I love to catch the ones that are really easy. Low hanging fruit is what you call it, right? It's always the ones that you have to chase down that are a little more difficult. But I want to make sure I go through all my points of when you can't see it globally. It's so easy to do, right? Because pain will get you tunnel vision. Like, oh, my heel hurts. My knee hurts. My shoulder right here hurts. And this is the problem. And you demonize, you talk bad to your muscles. And that's not nice. What's really crazy is that they're actually proving science-wise now, like words matter. And one of the biggest things that bothers me a lot in the medical community is that people will go in and they're like, oh, you have a bulging disc or you have osteoarthritis. And, you know, they have names, but then we've somehow associated, you go and Google it and it's got like the worst image ever online with all this like red, scary, oh my gosh, you're going to die. That those words matter is what I like to say. So it's something to where I've got a great network of people that we're really trying to put out the word of, hey, just because you have some aches and pains in one place, something might be needed somewhere else. It's not the end of the world. You know, I had someone say, well, they had knee pain and they're like, well, my dad had knee surgery, so I'm going to have knee surgery. And it was like, wait a minute, where does that thought process go to? So believe it or not, how you think about your pain affects your pain. And you can really get in a cycle, and let alone all this new chaos that's the past 2 months of mental stress and physical stress, that it all combines and goes together. So that's just a new little icing on the cake for your current aches and pains. So just another reason to, last week we talked about breathing, right? Take a deep breath. How many of you are breathing better? It's super important to go through all those things. I'm getting close to wrapping up. So if anybody has any questions, either type them in the chat or holler at me, because I don't mind being interrupted. It's a small little party that we have right here, so I don't mind being interrupted. But if you really think it's an itis, it might need the rest and you might need to leave it alone and just work elsewhere. Work somewhere else. You know, if it's the feet and the plantar fasciitis, work on your calves, massage your calves, roll on your calves, do all those cool things. Maybe leave the foot alone for a little while. Knee stuff, try to go somewhere else with your attention and then go back to the knee. If it's really swollen and bothered, you can still move your ankle around, you can still move your hip around, but you don't have to move the location that's bothering you. Which then leads to the perspective of the wrong modality or the wrong location. Necks are for sure one that end up the source of everything being on the opposite side, right? So if you take a thing and you think about how it's tilted, I was just talking to someone the other day about how, I think we're all of age. Do you remember the phone, corded phones that had the little, that you either had to do this with, or you had that little squishy pad that was technically ergonomic that you finally could make that distance in between your phone and your shoulder a little bit less? I was just talking to someone. I'm like, how many years were you doing this on the phone? And wow, isn't that funny how it's a shoulder problem somewhere else because of that? Same thing happens in car accidents. So whiplash stuff, if it's, so say side to side, if I get hit from this side, right? Ugh, this is going to totally wig out my right and lefts, but let me just generalize. The side that totally stretches, okay, and gets whiplash is overstretched. And then it usually is the one that hurts, but guess what? This one on the tighter side is the one that needs to re-lengthen, and you need to leave this one alone because it totally got overstretched and injured. Make sense? Kind of? That can happen front to back of your neck, front to back of your shoulders, knees, hips, anywhere, right? So sometimes things get over taping. Demo proper taping for the foot. I could, yes. I also have cool videos on that one as well. A lot of them. So, but I can do that. So if you have time, stick around and I'll demo that taping on the foot, because you can either do it on yourself, or if you have help, we'll demo taping on the foot. Does anyone else have any suggestions for demos or need any things on taping? That kind of brings me to the other point I wanted to make, wrong modality, taping on the knee. I can do that too. It'll be over my pants, but we'll get it done. Where was it going? Oh, wrong modality, meaning like compression, massaging sometimes is too much. So that's where tape is so often nice, because tape is decompression. The other cool thing that I love so much that I just had right here to show you are these cool new tools that are for cupping. So anywhere you can go for cupping, acupuncturists do it. They're usually like glass cups. These are great. They're rock pods from Rock Tape, and they're plastic. So if they fall off, they're not going to break or anything. But see, they stick, and it's a decompression. So it's a different way of getting mobility with decompression, because sometimes pushing on it and rubbing on it is a little too much. Okay, so decompression, cool new tools out for that as well. Taping of the knee, taping in the foot can totally do that. How are we on time? I don't even know what time it is. It's 12:30. So we're wrapping up. If any of you need to jump out, please do so, because I know I just claim this to be a 30-minute little hoopy thing. But then otherwise, let's see how I can manage to do this whole thing. I could tape my husband's foot. He's even offering. Yes, baby, can I borrow your foot?
Just my foot. That's all I can
Just
do.
my foot.
I'll have to pay extra to have my face on that.
Extra for, yes, your mug. Could you be here, actually? I need your shoe and sock off. You got to tape the skin. You can't tape anything but the skin. Let me get it ready while he's getting ready. Let me find my scissors. I don't have good scissors, so we have a pre-cut strip, which is awesome sauce. Could you actually Just go right here. I promise it'll only be your foot. There we go. Foot, ankle, perfect. Ta-da. Can you got, okay. Ooh, good. Zoom has good angle on that one. So the thing that you want to try to do is have the foot in a stretched position when you do this. Clean the skin of the foot. Super important to clean the skin so it actually stays on. And then I usually will cut, this should be pretty close. I cut about 1 inch or so less than the length of the foot because of the little stretch that'll go on this one. And you want to start the tape at the base of your toes. Don't fall over, babe. You start it at the base of the toes because if you started at the heels and then you cut your tape too long, you're going to be into the toes. And then that's just uncomfortable and weird. You're not going to leave it on for that. So you have it. I tear off a little bit and make an anchor point. And then I have a handle to use here. Okay. And then I just kind of smooth it with a little bit of pull as I go along. And then that gets the bottom of the foot. Now, if there was a little bit more, what I would do is have another strip that crosses. And so his pain is more at his heel. So we usually do the crossing point here at the heel. But if your pain's more in your arch or your numbness is more in your arch, you can go to the arch or forefoot. Does that make sense? That the second strip goes where you need more of the attention. Okay. And Lance, the other one is that I have a video for, I'll send you, is taking the tape and actually continuing all the way through the calf. If you think that some of the calf is aggravated as well. And I have a video on that one because that has a little tricky point at the Achilles that you got to go around. Thank you, babe. Appreciate that. Woo-hoo-hoo. Matt Frederick foot appearance, folks. Big deal. Questions? Like I said, there's lots of they say thank you. Lots of ways to do that. Oh, I guess I should keep this down for a knee, but I couldn't find my scissors, so forgive me, but I'm going to kind of demo-ish. I also have a video, Jeff, so make sure you ping me. I have a video on knee stuff, and can you, you're still on here, I see you. Can you chime in? Is it pain right below the knee, medial knee, above the knee, outside the knee? Because that depends on how you will put the tape. I'm gonna try to adjust both cameras without falling here. Oh, but it's gonna. Just a moment, please. Thank you. So fun to. I need like a studio helper. That would be great. All right, so knee stuff. Outside. Okay, so outside a knee is pretty common for folks. What I tell people all the time is make an X where it hurts. So what I would do is I would actually start it just a little over the midline below the knee, and then bring one piece up that outside. Okay, so that would be your one piece, and then the other piece, it would just make more of an oblique X to be here and then come across. What you don't want to do is to get wrapped behind the knee. It's not going to do anything to your knee. It's just not comfortable. Tape right behind the knee on that sensitive skin is not comfortable at all. Okay. You could even probably get by with just the single strip that covers the outside of the knee. So that's what's super cool and easy about the tape. Again, cleaning the skin first just makes it stay on longer, but then you'll end up with kind of this oblique X looking thing for outside of the knee. I do have a little video on that, but I'm also happy to talk you through it at another time on a single face of the face. Is the knee bent when you stretch the tape? It's kind of an in-between. So right when you start it on the front of the knee, I would have it middle bend. and then as you go through, because if it's too bent forward right at that knee joint, it's gonna be uncomfortable. So I'm gonna call this not straight, but not 90 degrees. Okay. All right. And remember that tape should stay on for 3 to 5 days. That's why I like rock tape, because it actually does stay on that long. Rock tape also has level 3 tape, which is extra sticky. I would recommend that one for the bottom of the foot. That works really well. You know, Matt playing handball, sweaty feet, in the shoes, in and out of socks and stuff. The extra sticky, the level 3 is really helpful. So then it stays on longer. My biggest complaint with folks that have their feet taped, 2 things. One, they're like, I didn't think it was doing anything. And then I took it off and then realized it was. Leave it on as long as possible. But I realized the conundrum, if you're in work boots or something all the time, that the tape kind of absorbs the odor. So you can wash it in the shower, but you just might, if you want fresh and clean, you might have to reapply the tape because of that. If you went all the way up the calf on that tape, or you're at the knee or somewhere where there's hair, I would definitely say trim things first with a trimmer. Don't shave it, just a trimmer's fine, so that you don't get a nice waxing effect when you remove it. The trimming helps really well. And then we kind of troubleshoot from there. Just always disclaimer, if it's super red and itchy, then your skin doesn't probably really like the adhesive, but the adhesive is the same as a Band-Aid. So if Band-Aids don't bother you, then tape should be great. All right. So super. You guys are awesome. Lots of fun conversations. As always, if you want to go down rabbit holes with me, if you need me for some other level, contact me and let me know. But shoot, it's Memorial Day weekend. Time to have a great long weekend. Ours are the same because we're here still, not going anywhere. But if you by chance are usually working on a Monday and now you're not, enjoy it and have a great time, and super thankful for all those who have, and families who have lost someone during Memorial Day. So it's a big one to acknowledge and not just have barbecue. Okay. Important.
Lori, thank you. Have a great weekend.
You are so welcome. Definitely. And be here next week. Who knows what the topic will be? I'll take requests. All right. All right. See you, folks.
You gonna do it? You do it now?